Hello everyone and welcome to those of you who are visiting my channel for the first time. My name is Chang. I'm 21 years old. I was born into a poor family in a small rural village in northern Vietnam. Right now, I'm studying and working in Hanoi, hoping to build a better future for myself and my family. Today, I want to share the story of my father. I will tell you how he became disabled, what kind of work he does to support our family, and how much a person with a disability can actually earn in Vietnam. This is my dad. He is 49 years old and has speech and intellectual disabilities. He was born in 1977, just 2 years after Vietnam was reunified. He grew up in a family with 7 children, was the sixth child. Since he was very young, he has been the only person in the family living with these disabilities. My dad cannot speak clearly. He also has trouble hearing and cannot fully understand what other people say. The condition that affected his hearing and speech also seemed to have affected his intellectual development. This is simply how he grew up. I don't know if he ever felt lonely or sad as a child, but I can imagine that much of his childhood was quiet and lonely. My parents met through an arranged marriage. Because of my father's disabilities, very few women would have accepted that situation, but my mother did. Together, they raised my older brother and me with all they had. Because of his disabilities, it has always been very difficult for my dad to find a stable job. The only work he could do was physical labor. Fortunately, someone who was patient enough to understand what my dad was trying to say and decided to give him a chance. That's how my father became a construction worker. Every day, my father begins work at 7 in the morning. He works until 11 a.m., take a short break for lunch, then goes back to work from 1:30 in the afternoon until 5 p.m. It has been the same routine for more than 20 years. He started this job around the time my brother and I were born, and he has spent most of his life working on construction sites to support our family. He wears work clothes that have faded from years of cement dust, sun, and rain, along with a basic pair of protective gloves to prevent cuts and cracks on his hands. These items may no longer look nice, but they are still worth enough to use. At the construction site, he takes on every task that someone like him is able to do. He works in many different positions and at different construction sites throughout the day. Some projects are simple and relatively safe, while others are dangerous. It's a job that requires continuous physical strength throughout the day. My father was born deaf and cannot speak. Because of his disability, finding work has never been easy. He also struggles with number and calculation, so manual labor has always been his only option. But physical work isn't the hardest part of his job. Communication is. He does not understand calculation, and everything becomes even more difficult because he cannot communicate with other people. The only way they can understand each other at work is by using gesture. When someone explains a task to him, he has to watch their gesture very carefully and try to guess what they mean. If he misunderstands even a little, he may do the job incorrectly. Then everyone has to explain everything again. I understand that it's not because he does not try. It's because understanding and remembering things are much more difficult for a person with a disability than for most people. There are things that only take a few seconds for others to understand, but he needs much more time. My father never had the opportunity to learn sign language. When he was young, my family was far too poor. Survival was more important than education. At home, we communicate through simple gestures, facial expression, and our daily action. We don't share long conversation or spoken words like most families do. To be honest, there are times when my family and I feel completely helpless. Sometimes we can't understand what my father is trying to say, and other times we don't know how to help him understand us. There were moments when I felt frustrated, not because of him, but because communication was so difficult. But those feelings never lasted long. Instead, they made me feel even more sorry for him. I often wonder if he feels lonely, living in a world where having a simple conversation isn't something he can take for granted. Whenever that thought crosses my mind, it breaks my heart. But there are still people who understand him. My mother can often tell exactly what he's trying to say, and over the years, I've learned to understand him too. It isn't always easy, but little by little, I've come to recognize his expression, his gestures, and the way he tries to communicate. And honestly, I'm proud of that. Because not everyone can understand my father, but I can. My father has worked every single day, no matter how harsh the weather was, from the burning heat of summer to the freezing cold of winter. He kept going. In an entire year, he would only take 3 or 4 days off. It were those long, exhausting days of hard work that gave me the opportunities I had today. I know this is an incredibly demanding job, both physically and mentally. Watching what my father has to do every single day has only made me more determined to work hard and help my family build a better future. Throughout my life, many people have judged, mocked, or looked down on my father and my family, but I have never been ashamed of him. Whenever someone insulted or bullied me, I always stood up for myself. I would tell them that even though my father is a person with disabilities and my family grew up in a poverty, he still raised me to become the person I am today. I have always believed in myself and have never felt impressed by where I come from. My father has never kept anything for himself. He always wear old clothes, most of which were given to him by our relatives, and he truly enjoys whatever I cook for him. Sometimes he makes me laugh because he uses his entire face to tell me what he thinks of my cooking. Without saying a single word, I can tell if the food is a little too salty, too sour, too sweet. Those little moments have become some of my favorite memories. More than anything else, what I have always seen in my father is his hard work and perseverance. So why should I ever be ashamed of that? Whenever I need the strength to keep going, I remind myself of him. I don't know if my father's disability is a gift or not. He never has to hear the cruel words, insult, or gossip that people say about him. In a way, he gets to live peacefully without carrying those voices in his heart. I also don't know how many times he has felt exhausted or heartbroken because he has never been able to tell us. We can only understand by paying attention to his expression and action. Maybe that's why our family has become so close. We have learned to care for one another without needing many words. I once heard a saying, God never takes everything away from anyone. Whenever one door closes, another one opens. That saying reminds me that life has its own way of creating balance. It took away my father's voice and his intellectual ability, but it gave him unexpected skill with his hand, and I have always been incredibly proud whenever his employers praise him for his craftsmanship and how talented he is at his work. And more importantly, he has a family, a wife, a son, and a daughter, me, who love him deeply and continue working hard every day to build a better life together. Have you noticed my father's face? Everyone in my family naturally has a small face, so you might wonder why my father's face is much larger. The reason is that he once went through a terrible accident that nearly took his life. My family had to borrow a lot of money to pay for his treatment, and that is why we ended up in debt. Even though my father still has two metal screws in his jaw, and most of his teeth are broken. My father repeats this routine every single day, depending on the construction site. He takes on different roles and tasks. The average wage for a construction worker in Vietnam is currently around 500,000 Vietnam dong per day. However, because my father has a disability, he can only earn about 350 Vietnam dong for a full day's work. We may be poor, but we are not lazy. We work hard because we believe hard work creates opportunities. And perhaps those efforts have finally begun to pay off. My parents have worked tirelessly to raise my brother and me. My older brother has carried so much of our family's burden, giving me the chance to follow a brighter path. As for me, I study hard and work hard so that I can make the most of every opportunity that comes my way. Once again, thank you so much to everyone watching from all around the world. I never imagined that my family story would be seen by so many people or receive so much kindness and support. Reading your comments has reminded me that no matter where we come from, kindness and compassion can bring us together. Your support means more to me than you could ever imagine. It gives me the motivation to keep learning, keep working hard, and keep sharing my journey with all of you. Thank you for being here, and I hope you will continue to join me in the video to come. See you in the next one.